It's time for Access the Experts from the University of Nebraska at Omaha with your host, Brandon Axement.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Access the Experts on News Channel Nebraska, where every Tuesday and Thursday, University of Nebraska at Omaha faculty members answer today's questions facing our state. Today we have the pleasure of hearing from Dr. Andrew Miller, who is an assistant professor for UNO's chemistry department. So Dr. Miller, today's question is, which is worse for the environment, gas fumes or EV battery disposal?
Thank you for that question, Brandon. I'd be happy to talk today about the different waste types and waste streams produced from gasoline versus electric vehicles. When you start thinking about waste handling, there's two big criteria to think about first, and that is how often you produce the waste and then what phase is the waste in. So it's much easier to deal with waste that you only produce one time than waste that you produce many times. And it's much easier to handle solids than it is liquids, and liquids are easier than gases. And so when you think about those two things, electric vehicles definitely win out because in concept, you will have that battery for the lifetime of the car. So you will only dispose of that battery at the end of the life of the car. It is also predominantly solids, and which means that it's very easy to store, it's very easy to treat, and it's easy to dispose. On the other hand, if you're thinking about gasoline vehicles, you are actually producing that gasoline fumes, so the waste stream, every time you drive your car in small amounts, which makes it much harder to actually treat. You actually need a point of use treatment for that, which is your catalytic converter in your exhaust system. The other issue is that those are gases, which are the hardest to actually manage. Once they're released to the atmosphere, they're functionally we can't do anything about them. So using those broad criteria, electric vehicles definitely went out. You can also think about the total amount of waste that would be produced from these two different types of vehicles. So if you're thinking about fossil fuels, I actually calculated that it should be in the neighborhood of about 1,800 pounds of chemical contaminants are actually released from your car over the entire lifetime of your car. This includes things like volatile organic carbon, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and particulate matter, all of which have direct health effects on humans. If you're thinking about electric vehicles, on the other hand, most of the batteries are in the neighborhood of 600 to 1,200 pounds. So again, the total amount of mass of material to deal with is comparable between the two different car types. The big difference, again, is that that battery is solid, whereas all of those gases are gases coming out of the gasoline vehicle. The other big thing to think about in terms of waste is essentially an environmental health is how humans actually get exposed to the waste. So if you live in an urban area and you just walk outside, you are being exposed to atmospheric contaminants that come from gasoline vehicles just right now. On the other hand, the only way that you could realistically be exposed to electric vehicle batteries is if you happen to live near a processing plant or near a disposal site, which most of us probably will not. And so the chances of you being exposed to the waste streams are much, much, much higher for the gasoline vehicles than they are for the electric vehicles. So in the end, the waste that is produced from electric vehicles is likely much easier to manage and less health impacting than that of gasoline vehicles.
Thank you, Dr. Miller, for sharing your expertise on the topic. Now for our viewers at home, we want you to interact with UNO's experts. So if you have a question that you want answered, submit it at newschannelnebraska.com.
Access the Experts, presented by the University of Nebraska at Omaha. If you have questions, submit them on our website. Then join us every Tuesday and Thursdays at 6:46 a.m. and p.m. while we answer your questions.